Well, hello, my name is Caleb Serafini. I am the discipleship pastor here at Broad Fording Church. And today I'm really excited just to bring to you a very quick deep dive based on the message that we heard from Pastor Wyand this Sunday, Brother's Keeper. In the message this Sunday, Pastor Wyand, he preached from Hebrews 11 and especially verse number 4. And in that verse, the writer of Hebrews celebrates Abel. It celebrates his faith and celebrates the faithful offering that he gave to God, which God was pleased by. And so there's just one principle from that I kind of want to expound on and share with you today. First, I want to give you a really quick analogy. A few weeks ago, I was able to go to the beach with some very good couple friends of mine, married couples that have children. And we were able to go to the beach together and spend an awesome week. And one of the days there at the beach, we went to a pool. And we were hanging out with the kids, with our spouses there at the pool, but in very typical man fashion, we had to make a competition out of the situation somehow. And so what we did is we said, hey, why don't we race from this side of the pool to the other side? Let's see who the fastest swimmer is. So we had the first race, and honestly, it was such a close finish that it was impossible to call who won that race. So we said, let's run it back, let's do it again. Now, from the first race, I discovered that the racer to my left was probably my strongest competition. He was the one that was the closest to me in the finish. So in the second race, what happened was, the whole time I'm swimming, getting closer and closer to the wall, I kept looking to the left. I kept looking over and seeing where this other gentleman was at in the race. And you know what happened? I lost by about a foot. He beat me by about 1 foot. And I really believe that the problem and what could have led to a totally different outcome is if I would have just kept my focus fixed at the finish line. If I would have kept looking forward instead of just those milliseconds that I spent looking to my left, focused on this person that was next to me. So why did I just share that analogy with you? Well, the question that we have to consider when we look at this story of Cain and Abel is, what was the fault? What was the mistake, the major issue that Cain had in this story? We know that there was something wrong with the offering and the sacrifice that he gave to the Lord. Quite possibly it had something to do with his heart, and quite possibly it had something to do with the fact that Abel gave his very first, his very best that he could give, whereas Cain, maybe, we don't know, the Bible doesn't make it explicit, but maybe in some ways he held back a little bit what he was going to give to the Lord. But really what I want to draw our attention to is really the issue of what happened after the fact. God lets Cain know that his offering was inferior compared to his little brother. And so what happened in that situation is, instead of Cain focusing on God, because really God gave Cain the opportunity that it wasn't, he wasn't over. This mistake didn't have to be the end and the final thing. God wasn't declaring total condemnation over Cain, but rather he was providing him with a simple correction. God was telling Cain that you have the opportunity to make this right. I'm trying to teach you how in the future you can give offerings to me in a better way. But instead what happened is that Cain wasn't focused on his response and relationship with God, but instead he fixed his attention on Abel. He focused on Abel and made him like he was a competitor against him. And then ultimately we know what happened. It drove him insane with anger, and he ultimately murdered his brother. So what happened was a simple correction from God and an opportunity for Cain to improve his relationship with God. Cain took his attention off of that and he focused on his neighbor, his brother beside him. I've heard a phrase before, and I think it's really correct, which is that comparison is a thief of joy. And so in our lives, we can fall into the same trap that Cain fell into. God might be blessing us, but what we do is we compare his blessing to the blessing he's giving to someone else beside us. Or God might be correcting us, and once again, we compare ourselves to others. And so my encouragement today is simply to avoid what Cain did, but to fix your focus on Jesus. Fix your focus on God. We don't have to look to the left. We don't have to look to the right of what God's doing to other people. and in his relationships with them, but instead, as we keep our eyes fixed and focused on Jesus, we can trust that he's going to give us everything that we need and that he's going to continue to grow us into the image of his son. That's the deep dive for today. I hope that you can apply that to your life, and I hope you have a great rest of your day today.